most of the question, actually. You could answer yourself. Anyway, I'll look at them today, but some, okay, sorry. When you go to the discussion, when you go to the discussion group, think about the question that you put in and try to bring it to the discussion group. I think with the list, some of them you can try to figure out. This is what the list is for. Now, why are these 10 actions called negative karma? It's because when it happens to us, then we don't need to ask, is it positive or is it negative? If somebody comes to kill us, again, there's exceptions. If you want to die and you ask in Switzerland, you go to exit and they give you something to drink, you pay money, and that's, of course, that's different. But in general, if somebody would come into the room now with a gun, I mean, none of us would be very happy and say, okay, shoot. Even Buddhists who say, I have a next life, so, yeah. If you, just last night also, you were looking at shoes, they're flip-flops, but still, it needed to be your shoes that you put on. You know, like somebody had exchanged some shoes or something. And imagine you were the last one to go out, no more shoes left there. What would you think? Well, it's no problem, I go to my room barefoot. But would that be your first thought? Nah, first thought, who took my shoes? Yeah. And if they're really gone, like you go home with the only pair you have and you need to go home without shoes. It's small things, but this is when it happens to us, we're not happy. If you have a partner, you come home and this partner lies in bed with somebody else, I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to be very happy about this unless you really want a divorce and you don't want to be the one who goes to court. So then you have a good reason to kind of blame the other person. So it's always an unless. But in general, any of these actions, if it is done to us, it doesn't create happiness. Does it? Yes or no? If you're standing behind there and I gossip about you and make fun of you here with Leora or with somebody else, thinking that you're out and you're gone, do you think you will be happy about that? What do you think? Spontaneously? No. If you hear me saying, yeah, well, I don't know if this is beneficial for the group, maybe better, get him out. Would you be happy about this? No. If I hold on to something that you have not said, wrong use, that something exists, it doesn't exist. If I hold on very strongly to something and say, yes, you said that, but you're sure you haven't said it, would it make you happy? No. That's it. So this is why it is negative. Because our mind understands that when it's done to us, it's not happy, it doesn't bring happiness. So then the mind itself actually creates the imprint. Yeah? It's not the Buddha who throws it on you, or God, or anybody else, or the universe, or I don't know what. We are responsible for our own actions. And this, as I'm saying, it's very complicated. It is very complex. Because the mind is playing all kinds of tricks. Yeah? And then it's these habitual tendencies. The habitual tendency of finding a good excuse for doing something negative. And it doesn't change the action, actually, because actually it's just cheating ourselves. It's much better to say, okay, I did this, I know it's negative, what can I do about it? And then you do purification practice as we will do this evening. Okay? Okay. So we'll reflect on this a little bit. So maybe you get a feeling for the quality of mind when we do the action, be it positive or negative, and the quality of mind when the result comes back. Again, don't put any pressure on you. Yeah? One thing is, the whole topic of karma is like, it brings up a lot of stuff. What do you mean to say it's my fault? It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's this law of cause and result. You do this, that happens, and that's it. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is what the Buddha said. This is all. Yeah. Nobody's pointing a finger at you. And many, as I'm saying, when I was young, I did all these things. I thought it was totally okay. Didn't really care about what others feel. As long as I felt good, that was good enough. Yeah, so I was very happy to hear this. Although it made me feel very uncomfortable at the beginning. Yeah. I'm happy that I heard it, so that's how it is with you. Yeah. Okay, so we'll try, yeah? And don't forget, karma goes into the category of most hidden phenomena. Only a fully awakened being can understand. So I'm definitely not fully awakened. But I can see that the immediate result of having decided to become more ethical has a good result for me, personally, and also to the people around me. Then I know it's already good enough. And as I said with the mosquitoes, I don't have more or less mosquito bites instead. But I make sure I always have mosquito repellent with me that I just put on the skin, and then I'm protected. Yeah? No need to kill them. I won't need, my killing mosquitoes is not going to save them. It's not going to solve the problems about dengue fever and malaria and all this. But in Switzerland, we don't have dengue fever. And we don't have malaria, so there's no need to kill them. Sometimes we do have to kill things. Then it's good to know that it's negative, so then we can do some practices for these insects that we have killed, so that they have a good rebirth. Same way when you eat meat, as I said, you make practices for that being who gave part of his flesh, so that you can survive. Promise to make your life meaningful, not just mindlessly eating it. And also when you eat vegetables, I think, oh, I'm so ethical. Many insects die to grow vegetables. Many insects die. Doesn't mean that, okay, so then that's the same as with the flesh eaters. No, it's not, but still. Also, just by existing, we create negative actions. And then also we think, now I can learn to behave in a way that I will not suffer. You cannot. Because you still have your negative emotions. We still have our delusions, and especially the wrong view of inherent existence. So it goes in these steps. I might have mentioned it, maybe not. First step, you give up your negative actions. These 10, you don't need to go into very complicated stuff. Not unnecessarily killing, not unnecessarily stealing, not unnecessarily having sexual misconduct. Sometimes, the whole thing about sexual misconduct, they say, well, they don't have any sex with each other anyway, when people go off with somebody else. A friend of mine said that at one point. I just looked at her and said, I didn't judge her, I just said, so? And 2 weeks later, she sent me an email saying, look, I stopped the relationship, feels much better. Yeah. You can finish a relationship before you start a new one. And be clear about this. This one is finished, I'll start a new one. But what's happened sometimes, one tries out a new one, and in case it doesn't work, so I better not say anything, and then I go back. This is how we behave sometimes. And also, if you are in a good relationship, I tell you, taking a vow of no sexual misconduct can save your marriage or your relationship. Because I know some occasions when people party, too much drinking, too much drugging, they kind of had this one night stand with a man, and they didn't know what to do, to tell the husband not to. They didn't want to see that person again, but they were schlepping that with them, and it really poisoned the relationship. One moment, whereas you have a vow, it's like no. Yeah. So much suffering because we don't take care of these actions. They're very simple to understand. Can you imagine a world where nobody would steal, kill, sexual misconduct, lie, and so forth? How would the world be? A bit like Young, where we don't have to lock the doors. Wouldn't it be wonderful? going in and out of the house without having to lock it. When I was a kid, I never had to lock the bicycle. Now, if you don't lock it, it disappears, also in Switzerland. So ethical conduct seems to be less and less and less important. And sometimes this is a sign of degenerate times. So sometimes even it gets honored, you know, like people get medals and stuff like that. Or people get a raise in their salary when they're good liars and sell a lot of these products that even those people who produce it don't know that it's no good. But you sell a lot of it, you become very successful. This is where we are going, so we can also again make a decision not to contribute. But you see again, you know, ethical conduct seems very, very interesting and very nice as long as it doesn't create too much discomfort and as long as it's not costing money. The moment it starts to cost money, or we have to let this mosquito go around the whole night, it's uncomfortable. Yeah? Unless you have mosquito repellent. So if you need some, you can always come to my room. It's 81. I can always give you some if you have mosquitoes that bug you during the night. Which are surprisingly few up here, actually. Yeah? So like this. But it needs to, this whole thing about ethical conduct, it needs to come from your side. And you start with the biggest thing, you know, where you have the most problem, where you feel the worst about it, you start, okay, for one day or for 1 week, I'm not going to do that. You start to retrain the mind, because unethical conduct is also training, something learned. It's not something that is innate, it's habit. Okay, let's try to just look. Please make a promise that you won't allow guilt and shame to come up. It doesn't make you a better person. We need to very soberly, in a way, recognize, okay, I did wrong, I want to amend it. How? We will do this evening. Guilt and shame is not good. Regret, yes. Recognizing that this is negative, that's perfect. Then saying, I want to put some effort into changing these habits. All the rest is another ego play. Okay, so just try to relax again. Sorry, again, I didn't finish that. So the way you proceed on this path, first you give up negative actions, then you give up your negative emotions, and then you give up all views of good and bad. You know, then you give up your discrimination at the end, so that you're not giving up too much at the beginning. So even if we cannot be totally ethical, not do these actions as we exist, somebody will suffer because of us. But that's the first step. Okay. Again, you become aware of your body and what is happening in the body. So maybe now there is something different from this morning. Now try to look inside, not look at me. How does it feel in the chest after having heard this law of cause and effect? It's a law. That means it goes for everything. It's not like human laws who go for some and not for others. It's the same as the law of gravity. Whether you drop a lump of gold or a piece of caca, both of it falls to the ground. And don't forget, this is from Buddhist philosophy. If you don't find it useful, then don't adapt it. Law of cause and effect you can find in Hinduism and in Buddhism, because both of them believe in rebirth. If it doesn't make sense, then drop it. Okay, so now you need to find situations that you can remember, something that you've done. So, the first of these actions is killing. So, of course we don't go around killing people. And therefore we think we're very ethical. Maybe remember the state of mind or the quality of the mind when you do actually, mindlessly, without any concern for that other being, kill mosquitoes, cockroaches, or when you walk, there's ants. You don't care whether you walk on them or not. Just look at the quality of that mind. How does it make you feel? And then maybe it has happened to you that you walk on the ground, you see the ant, and you are aware and you take care not to step on it. How does that mind feel? Or you see the mosquito and you're about to kill it and you go, oh no, it's also a being who doesn't want to die. Then the state of mind when the result comes, if somebody's out to kill you, be it as a, reborn as an insect or reborn as a human. Even if it's just an insect, if you look, you can see the fear and the suffering of that insect. So how would you feel if somebody were out to kill you? What kind of emotions would naturally arise? And what kind of emotions arise when somebody saves your life? Kind of grabs you as you're about to fall off a cliff. Maybe you fainted in the train station. Kind of prevented you from falling onto the tracks. What quality of mind is that? So we go to the next one, which is stealing. So I'm kind of lucky because I've done all of these things on that list, so I can remember those moments. So maybe you also at one point you took something that was not given or cheated. Public transport without paying the ticket. Cheating with your taxes. Or even if it's, participating in things like this, where everything is on dana basis, like we're all reasonable enough and have enough intelligence to know that the hall that you're sitting in has to be paid. The material where the videos and whatever is being made had to be paid. The teacher had to be brought here. You had to pay the plane ticket. And you're not participating in sharing these costs. What kind of mind is that? Mind that just takes. It's being given, so it's not really stealing. But still. Or remember a moment when you really took something that was not given. Maybe happiness. What kind of happiness? And remember the state of mind when you do give something. Or you wanted to take something and you made a firm decision not to do it. Then what state of mind would you have at the end when the result comes? Let's say the end of the retreat. You want to go and collect your telephone, nowhere to be found. Maybe stolen, maybe lost, maybe who knows what. How would you feel? Whom would you blame? This one is quite a real one. Or if you're here by car, the car is gone. Okay, so now you know the technique, like you find these situations of quality of mind when you do the action or when you remember the action. Quality of mind when it's the opposite, and then when the result comes. So I'll just tell you what to think about, and then you make your own words or your own story. The next one is sexual misconduct. Then we look at the four of the speech, which is the first one is lying. As the words come out, but you know it's a lie, how do you feel? Result in the future of this is, even you tell the truth, nobody believes you. So frustrating. Divisive talk, again, there's some kind of pleasure that goes with it when we kind of spread bad rumors about somebody that we dislike. But again, is that mind really a quality mind? Maybe remember moments when you were able to create harmony with your words. There was conflict or fighting, family, amongst friends. And with your speech, you were able to create harmony. Just see the difference. Harsh words, like very unkind words, be it by meaning or by tone of voice, with this intention to hurt, maybe not conscious because you're frustrated, you're stressed, you're angry. So again, what kind of mind is that? That sometimes even forgets there's a human being in front of us, or an animal like a dog or a cat. We shout at. And then again, remember moments, kind words, came out of compassion, love. Not just words, but also being in contact with that quality mind of softness and openness. And then the next one is meaningless talk, where we spend a lot of time talking about others when they're not present, and very often it's not very kind. Very often we would be totally embarrassed if the person would be, if you would know that the person has heard it, or if the person kind of gets to know about it. You feel embarrassed, you feel bad, there's immediate result. Also, you become a target for their aggression. How do we feel when we honestly praise somebody, point out their good sides, good qualities? It's a happy mind. And just briefly, the tree of the mind, it's not a real action, it's just thoughts or mind states, covetousness or envy, like you're totally being eaten up out of jealousy and envy because somebody else has more than you have. So that prevents you from being happy what you have, and also your whole effort goes into getting the same thing or the better thing. It's a very poisonous mind. Harmful thoughts, like only finding happiness when somebody else is not so well or suffers. Or really wishing them something negative to happen. If you send somebody a thought, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, may you be peaceful and loving. How does that feel? The last one of these 10 is wrong views, like holding on to something that you might maybe even know that it's not right what you're saying, but you still kind of defend that viewpoint. Or you think it's right, but it's mistaken. Or the wrong view of that there is no consequences of negative, of unethical behavior. I mean, how much suffering does it create in the world?